Good afternoon. How you guys doing? Normally we don't do this on Fridays, but yeah, we've been really busy and the car was basically destroyed. So we were without a car and not able to do a whole bunch of stuff. We had to get that taken care of, but it got taken care of. We got it back last night, and thus life can somewhat go back to normal, for better or for worse. Hope you guys are doing well. A lot of things been going on in the background. We won't dive right into that. The members and the Patreons will be getting a very specific video, giving a lot of kind of information, especially in regards to what's going on with the next month thing, as far as the gear that's going to get chosen and all that, and just other little insights into what's going on. But I want to do this today because when I made the video about this guitar, the Yamaha, the amount of comments and the amount of kind of like almost requests, like, oh man, like it's cool that you're not doing, Fenders all the time, because I mean, majority of my guitars are Fenders. I'm a Fender guitar player at heart. But why don't you check out one of these? And it would be a brand like one of the ones I listed, like G&L, like Reverend, like Yamaha, the other Yamahas. Everybody really wants to see the Chris Buck. I call it the Chris Buck, even though it's really just the Revstar with the P90s. That's the one I would like. And brands like LTD, ESP, Schecter, and Sterling by Music Man, including Music Man themselves, ones that are made in America. So what I did is I decided I was going to go through and handpick some of the guitars that I've either played, which is the majority of the ones that you're going to see on today's video, from all those kind of smaller brands. And then some other ones, one that's a brand new model that was released this week, that I'd be interested in giving a shot at some point. So always welcome to hearing you guys' feedback. I'm going to stop yapping, look this way, and say hello to everybody who's typed in so far. Good morning, Daniel. How are you? Okay. You guys don't understand what the big three is. I had this in the comments too. I like Gretsch guitars. Gretsch or Fender. Gretsch or Fender. Anything that falls under that tree. It's a big tree. You guys got to keep this in mind. With PRS, it's really easy, because with PRS, you have PRS and you have PRS SE. With Gibson, you have more brands. Obviously, you have Epiphone, and you have Kramer, and a few others, I believe, that they're trying to bring back to life. But Fender, you have a very wide net, much more so than the others, like Jackson, Charvel, Fender, Squier, Fender Japan, Gretsch, amongst others. So I consider all those Fender guitars. I'm talking about brands that don't operate within any of those at all. And there are a few of them, and those are the ones we're going to talk about today. First act guitars for $20. I had a first act guitar. I don't even remember how the hell I got it. And I just left it outside when we were moving from Fort Myers to here. I left it on the side of the road. Out of all the stuff to go, there's like a big old CRT TV we left out. We left out a bunch of crap. That first act guitar was the first thing somebody went and grabbed. It was gone within like 5 minutes, and I wasn't necessarily on a big, like, busy street, so I just thought that was kind of wild. So somebody really wanted it. I left a bass out there too. Hi, Robbo. How are you? You had no idea Fender owned Gretsch. You didn't know that? You know that's been a thing for a while. I believe at one point Guild as well. No, Guild's been through some different ownership. I know Guild's been through some different ownership over the years, but yeah, Gretsch is Japan, man. Well, some of them are America, but I think of Gretsch, I think of Japanese guitars in this day and age. If Gretsch doesn't count, Rickenbacker, quirky, very nice. Raised on the Beatles, they are a necessity. Nothing is a necessity. This is you people and your nonsense. None of this is a necessity. What is a necessity is to find a guitar that sounds great, that you love playing. And the rest, you can make happen. You can make it happen. It's a topic for another day that we can get into. And I don't know, I've been fairly consistent on this. But like, to sound like the Beatles, you don't need to do that. And a perfect example of this, the morons for lack of a better word here. I mean, yeah, I'm not having a great morning. That was a little blunt there. I apologize for that, but it's still true. It's just like, what are you doing? People are obsessed with the Smiths and Johnny Marr, right? So what do? They go buy Fender Jaguars that have been mutilated. Here's the problem. Johnny Marr didn't use a single Fender Jaguar on any of those Smiths records. What are you chasing that tone for and chasing after the Smiths thing? And you're not even buying the right thing. You're just assuming it because he's got a Fender signature model. Nobody does their homework. So it's all silly. It's all fool's errand. You don't need to chase other people. But I won't go much further than that because, yeah, that is something that I'm having fun with. That's not just a gear review thing. That's all about the offset community in general, and how ironic it is, and how the people that everybody idolizes from there, not just Johnny Marr, they're doing the complete opposite of what their heroes did, and I find it fascinating. However, we're here to talk about other brands, so let's talk about some other brands. You got given a terrible Strat style guitar. You've hung onto it in a garden, on a trellis. Let nature consume it. We have a made of some sort of steel ukulele that lives out on a tree, and a bunch of lizards, like king lizards, that are like that big, like 6-7 inches, something like that. I saw one come out of it last night. I was like, holy crap! That's a big old lizard. Normally lizards in Florida, like they're small. There's a big lizard. PVs. Okay, so here's what we're going to do here. I have some queued up. We're going to look through them. If you'd like to play along, you can click on the link to Zounds in the description of this video, sponsored by Zounds, because, yeah, they're good people. And honestly, it's one of those things where, they've been good to me as far as, I wouldn't have gotten this to demo for you guys. I wouldn't have gotten the Mesa Boogie that we did the month before to demo for you guys. There's 2 more amps that I haven't demoed for them yet. The Supro, the pedal I got from them. So, they're, in essence, making the content that I make for you guys that you watch possible. So, even though I don't get directly paid for those videos, nor do I get to keep those things, it's still something that, I appreciate. So, worth keeping in mind, and it's good to support things like that because they're still owned by the same person who owned them in the 90s, which to me is kind of wild. However, that being said, we're going to start with the most obvious one because I'm holding it in my hand, but I want to show you it in a different finish. And then what I'm going to do is we'll go through some of the other guitars, as I said, from multiple different brands, including a new release from G&L. So this one, what needs to be said? I made the review on this one. This is the most recent guitar that I had reviewed. I love this Beach Burst. I really love this Beach Burst. I don't typically like bursts on S or T style guitars. I think they look wrong, but this guitar is like so Yamaha. It really is. It's so Yamaha in like the best way possible. I'm a big fan of this, and yeah, I went over the value and all that in the video itself, but I think that this really is an exceptional buy, and an exceptional instrument. Then the other Yamaha that's extremely popular here, like we said. Whoa, what is that? $720. That's not bad. Anyway, the Revstar standards, and I went right to the standards, not to the ones that are a little bit below it. And the reason for that is because these ones also come with, a few of the more high-end appointments that the Japanese ones do, except that they're made in Indonesia. Like, you're going to get stainless steel frets on it. You're going to get the same pickups, the P90s. And it has a chambered body. I think it looks great. Obviously, if you're watching this video, you watch YouTube, so you know Chris Buck, and you would know he's obsessed with these guitars. He's obsessed. And in a market where, there's not a whole lot of direct kind of competition to this. You would think I'd like the Swift Blue best. I like it. The Merlot is fantastic. That's not really doing it justice. That looks a little bit more black in the pictures, but that's a cool one. And then G&L. G&L Guitars just released this week. Stop with the cookies. Now they offer this in two colors: Silver Frost and Lake Placid Blue. This is more up my alley from G&L. G&L kind of, obviously they were made by Leo Fender after he left and sold the company to CBS, and there were certain concessions that had to be made as far as design goes, but that led to some innovation and some very interesting kind of guitars along the years since then. And I like the fact that this guitar is made in America, okay? I want you to keep this in mind. This is a $1,300 guitar that's made in America, in California, no less. So wages aren't exactly cheap there. But it's got a satin finish on it. It's got really modern specs. So, I mean, if you're somebody who, likes American vintage style, this isn't going to be your thing. But medium jumbos, 9.5-inch radius, bow nut, a satin finish on the back of the neck. This one has their new sort of like slimmer profile to it, slightly wider nut. But I thought it was really cool. And that's a guitar I'd like to try one of those. That's a guitar I'd like to try. And again, I think I would go for the Silver Frost. That is a very, very sharp looking guitar, man. That's a really sharp looking guitar. And I think as far as American made tellies, I remember when the American specials were $6.99. I feel so old. And every time I talk about that stuff, it makes me feel like I'm on a porch, man. But the American Performers, yeah, dude. I think the production model of this is only $100 less. The Fender kind of equivalent. That's got the satin body finish on it, the satin neck, the modern frets, and these have jumbo frets on them. I know that these have mega frets. But yeah, so they're coming in less than Fender, and the neck profiles are going to be similar. This has a modern C, which is by no means a big neck by Fender standards. Although Fender can say a C neck, they call a lot of things a modern C neck, and there's a lot of variance in that. So I like that the G&L is coming in a few $100 less, and to me a little bit more interesting. Like, yeah, I think that's cool. I think that's really cool. The other G&L guitar, this one has been directly requested, I don't even know how many times, on this channel over the years, is the Doheny. At first glance, obviously, you could tell what guitar it's inspired by, a Jazzmaster. But at first glance as well, there are two major differences between this, just looking straight away. The first being the vibrato that they use on this. You have a 2-point vibrato unit. It's just different. Some people say it's not better, it's not worse than the offset vibrato. I think it's worse, only because I don't think anything is as good as the offset vibrato, period. I think it's the best vibrato ever made. However, it's better than having a vintage one, like from a Strat style on this kind of instrument, in my opinion, because they can be set up really well, and they're really reliable in tune. The other thing that you're going to be noticing that's different from a traditional Jazzmaster, and what kind of sets this a little bit more towards maybe a modern player, there's no rhythm circuit on this guitar. What you see is what you get. You also get an additional tone control. On a Jazzmaster, you only have two. You have one master volume, one master tone, and then you would have the rhythm circuit where the switches on this guitar that you could bypass all the other electronics, and it would go right to the lead circuit, or right to the rhythm circuit, which is going to be the neck pickup to different potentiometers where you can control volume and tone independently from there. Pretty modern, but again, American guitar, $17.99. One thing I didn't look at when I was checking this out, does this come with a hard shell case? No. No, it does not. This comes with a deluxe padded gig bag. That's fascinating. I would have thought for sure this would have came with one of those. Huh. Outside of that, kind of similar thing going on as the ASAT we were just looking at, or the folder. Yeah, the ASAT. 9.5-inch radius, medium jumbo frets. It's more of a modern instrument. I think they're cool. I'm not sure it would be totally up my alley, but I like the way of options. Now we'll get into something a little bit cheaper that I like, and I got 5 guitars left that we're going to go over here. So what I'll do is I'll click on the fourth one, and then we'll take a break. And we'll go back to the other four at the end. Not at the end, but as a break. I reviewed this guitar twice on this YouTube channel. This is the Sterling Mariposa. Now, the reason I demoed this twice, very early on, when I was still in California, I reviewed this guitar. I had, I think, like a week with it. So I super rushed out a review. And then we moved across the country here to Florida. And I liked it a lot. It's kind of weird not having a tone control. You know, you would look at this and you would think, oh, one master volume, one tone. No, that's not how it works. These are 2 volume controls. And then 1 3-way toggle at the top there. So on paper, it's definitely different. I love the design. Like, to me, if you're gonna do something out there with the design, this is what I'm looking for. This is exactly what I'm looking for. And they give you the matching headstock. I just think it's so cool, man. I think it's so cool. I think it's just such an awesome little guitar. And these were all really, 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 really light. So I was a big fan. And in my opinion, this is going to spark another debate. But this right here, $549, I think that this is appropriate pricing for Indonesian-made instruments. I think this is appropriate. I think that I can get behind this and be like, yeah, you know, that's pretty good. Once we start getting into the thousands and some brands, even up to like $1,800, I'm like, you are out of your minds. You're out your minds. But that's just me. So right now, instead of just total ramble, what I'll do is close this off, and I'll see if you guys have any thoughts on the guitars that we just said. So we just looked at 2 G&Ls, 2 Yamahas, the Sterling Mariposa. So let's see what you guys got going on. Whoa, I missed a lot of comments. Is Friday your new live day? No, it'll normally be Thursdays. But like I said, we had a lot going on with the car. The starter went on the car, and we kind of needed the car, so we had to get all that addressed. And just running around, and everybody's been home. So I haven't been as productive with the filming of the YouTube stuff, playing the guitars. But no, normally when we do this, it'll go back to Thursdays. It's just today I wanted to do it because I had the time to do it today. That's all. Okay. Ibanez, I normally hate sharp guitars, but the Talman is different. Not sharp at all. Pretty cool, actually, and it's offset. I like the Japanese Talmans a ton. The Japanese one's a ton. And if it were up to me, based on my experiences, I'm not so sure I'd have any of the guitars, like, well, maybe, you know what, like the Mariposa and 1, 2, 3 of the guitars I'm about to show would still make it, but the majority of ones, I wouldn't be showing these, because I would just be talking about Japanese brands. And not just Japanese brands that are small builders, like 77 or Momose or, you know, Psych Rhythm. They're super cool. I mean, just all of them. Because even brands like Ibanez, like the Ibanez J-Line Talman, you could grab one of those for what? With shipping, in one of the custom colors. So like they have like a charcoal frost, they have like a shell pink, they got like a Lake Placid bluish thing kind of going on there. One of those will run you about $750 imported from Japan, and they're made in Japan. Now what do we get from Ibanez for a Talman? All right, besides my dog wanting to give me a stroke, Ibanez Talman. I'm gonna load this back up. Oh crap, I got lost. Okay, so Talman bass. Oh yeah, okay. God bless Yvette Young. I think she's fantastic. This is $12.49. That's made in Indonesia. I know it has Japanese hardware. You know what else has Japanese hardware? The Japanese-made Talman. I'm bad at sales. Yep, I'm just bad at this. I don't see the point in spending more money for an Indonesian. This is just me, by the way. You want to disagree? Be my guest. But I don't see the point in spending 400 plus more dollars on an Indonesian-made version of a guitar that is made by a Japanese, that is licensed and by a Japanese-made company that offer a Japanese-made instrument for less money. Am I nuts for that? I mean, I guess if you just really love Yvette, makes sense. But just from a practical standpoint, no. No way. No way. J-Line Tallmans are where it's at. I may have just sent some of you down some rabbit holes. I apologize for that, but end of the day, I like Japanese guitars. I like Japanese guitars. Okay. Okay, I hope to find a used Tallman one day. You like the P90 Rev Stars. I like the P90 Rev Stars too. I have my reservations about one of those sight unseen though. And it's not because I don't think it would be good quality. It's because I have seen some of those Rev Stars at 10 pounds. That's another thing. And you know what? That's not specific to Yamaha. I think about the offset Squires, the classic vibes. Some of those I have seen as low as like low sevens, which is it's very light for an offset guitar that has a rhythm circuit, a vibrato unit on it, you know. So that's very light. But I've seen the same exact model and the same exact finish made by the same people in the same factory using the same materials where those are 9.5 pounds. So you really appreciate with those, if weight matters to you, I like the peace of mind of knowing in advance with something like that. Because I don't want to gamble on it, because then what happens? I order it and it ends up being a super heavy one. I'm not going to keep it. I'll know as soon as I take it out of the box. Like, I'm not keeping this. It's just too much. So that's my only reservation with one of those. But overall, I think they're great. Oh, the J-Line Tallman. You already knew. There you go. I just went on my whole J-Line Tallman rant. I was so excited to see somebody mention the Tallman. I was just like, oh, I got to talk about the Japanese one. So I went right up and pulled it up. You have to admit that Chris Buck has made those P90 Rev Stars wear on me in a good way. They're starting to normalize for me. Normalize. That's funny. The Rev Stars are starting to normalize on you, but you play PRS. You got to understand, a lot of people, they don't feel that way about Paul's guitars at all. They feel very similar to how you're looking at the Rev Star. To them, it's Fender, Gibson, Fiend. You want to go past that? You're going to start looking at acoustic guitars. It's going to be a Taylor or Martin. Well, really, it's going to be a Martin. It depends how old they are. A Martin, a Gibson, if they're much older. And then you would have, Taylor for the younger group of crowd. Because they don't have the same kind of historical context, and they haven't been in business as long as Martin have. Tam Anderson. I don't know why I'm saying it like, I feel like it's a Family Guy character. Tom Andersons are great guitars. The only reason I didn't include Sir or Mr. Anderson's instruments, because just higher price points and not as mass produced. I kind of wanted to just talk about the brands that are widely more acceptable. Like anywhere in the country, you'll be able to find these sorts of guitars for the most part. But they're very, very, very good guitars. I played one of his what do you call that? A conversion neck. So it was a Fender style body with a 24 3/4 scale length on it. That was a really, really cool instrument. I didn't have the money for it, and I didn't love the finish. It's just a little too over the top, even for me, with the kind of like ocean flame thing going on. Uh, but I liked it a lot. That was a few years ago, but that left a very very positive impression. Very positive. Those are cool guitars, man. Those are really cool guitars. Okay, I skipped a bunch of comments to comment on your Anderson one. Sorry about that. Uh, yeah, GNL does have the bass nut cup. Never a fan of Music Man or GNL, just not for you. Makes sense. I like I don't like all the Music Mans. Like a lot of them kind of like have a really similar silhouette to them, which is funny if you follow Music Man guitars silhouette. But they have a body shape that's kind of, it's almost like generic, and it gets tweaked a little bit per model. And then you have other models that completely break that mold, like the St. Vincent completely breaks that mold, and then the Mariposa and the Valentine, they really break that mold as well. I'm more drawn towards the ones that are more unique, because my thing on it, if I wanted something that looked uniform, and this is why you've never seen me with the PRS Silver Sky. Well, one of the reasons why you've never seen me with the PRS Silver Sky. If I want a guitar that's gonna pretend to be a vintage Strat, it's gotta be better, like much better. That's why like a brand like Momo say, oh, I'll play one of those. Those are fantastic. And some of the other Japanese brands like Van Zandt, whew, forget it. Where they're going for the same kind of like aesthetic thing. Because the Silver Sky, you gotta keep in mind, if you cut the headstock off and you just look at the guitar from the neck all the way down to the body itself, like it's a Strat, man. It's a Strat. So for me, like when I look at brands, like I want to see like their unique shapes, right? And my favorite from PRS, for example, and I'm only saying PRS right now because I know Daniel is a huge PRS fan. I look at both the Custom 24 and the CE 24 as like that's like the PRS. And then some of their other cooler like designs that stand out to me at least would be like the Vela. Like that's cool. That's cool. But when I look at a single cut 594, I don't think of PRS. I think of Gibson. When I look at, again, the Silver Sky, I don't think of them. I think of Fender. Even when I look at the NF3s, NF3s and all those, like they still just look like Fenders. They look like Silver Skies with a different pickguard. But yeah, like something like this, like guitarists are funny people, dude. Because they say they get tired of the same old stuff. We want something new, Fender. And then when Fender goes out on a limb and they try something, right? Doesn't sell. It doesn't sell. People just end up buying the Tellys, the Strats, the Jazzmasters, for the most part. But then when other brands say, you know what? Not only are we going to give you a different shape, a unique shape, we are going to absolutely top this thing off, and we're going to cut no corners on this, and we're going to make sure it's made in Japan, and the quality is fantastic, with super great pickups. Guitarists are like, that's a Yamaha. You just said you wanted something different and innovative, and something that really is its own thing, because when I look at this, I don't think of a Fender. Like, I just don't. There's nothing Fender about this. Contrast to how I look at a Silver Sky. I look at a Silver Sky, I'm like, oh, it's a stolen Fender. I think he'd be the first one to tell you that, assuming the only reason that guitar was born was because Mayer left Fender because of, that's a whole different discussion, but he went to PRS, and he's a Strat guy. Of course he's going to build a Strat. You know? I just think it's funny. People ask for certain things, and then companies give it to them, and then people don't buy them. Doesn't matter how good it is. Let's see. Fed up with so-called quality guitars. I sold a Les Paul Standard Italian, bought a Novo, no regrets. So-called quality guitars? Well, few things. First, you have my credit. Sorry. I hold this guitar. I actually want to play it. Because Novos, you want to talk about off designs outside of their one Strat. They have absolutely come up with their own stuff. I will tip my cap all day to Novo as far as just they're out there with their designs. Some people, they love them. Other people, not so much. But they're trying something. And I respect that. I respect people that innovate and genuinely innovate. Don't just loosely become inspired and basically create a carbon copy, right? But quality is also in the eye of the beholder. And also, there are margins for error that are going to increase with the higher tiers and the higher amounts, rather, of production that a guitar manufacturer is going to be producing. Now, let me put it to you like this. How many guitars does Novo make in a year? There's no way you know that answer off the top of your head. But if I were to ask you, is it substantially less or is it substantially more? Then let's say a Gibson Les Paul Standard. And by what order of magnitude do you think Gibson make more American-made Les Paul Standards than Novo make their entire line? When you make far less, and again, this is so funny because it plays right into the guitar I'm holding. When you make less of an instrument, and your number one concern is making sure that the quality is going to be there on the instrument, the odds of you having a dud or having some problems with it are far lower than when you have a higher amount of production going on. But this is natural. As your company grows, if you are willing to expand to meet more demand, it's inevitable. Not every guitar that comes through is going to be perfect. But that's not to say, my main point here is this. You could buy a Les Paul Standard, and you could get a great one. Like a really great one. You could also buy a Les Paul Standard, and it could be a total dud and uninspiring one, and it can leave you with a taste in your mouth that's just like, yeah, Gibsons are overpriced, they're overworth it. And that goes for any brand. It could be Fender, PRS. I was reading a story about a guy who had the same problem I did with a $2,600 Swamp Ass Special. Little slider switches, not hooked up from the factory. And in order for him to get it fixed, PRS don't have any authorized dealers. He's got to mail his brand new guitar back that doesn't function to PRS to have them fix it. So not everybody gets it right. And that's not me dogging on PRS. I still got the 2408. I played it yesterday, as a matter of fact. But not everybody gets it right all the time. And when you make less, and they're all handmade. Well, actually, I don't know if Novos are all handmade. I'll have to look that up. But more hands-on time, less margin for error. Quality is in the eye of the beholder. You want an Yvette Young guitar, buy one of the Japanese Tallmans. Make it your own. Okay. See, I rambled again. So now I'm lost. Okay, I think I'm good there. What's up, Greg? You got food poisoning? That's really not good. I can tell you, that's not good. So let's go ahead. Before I go further, let's check out the last 4 guitars that I had queued up here, and then we can all ramble about those. And then we'll do a summation. I have my area where I know that I've left off with the comments. We'll go from there. So, where were we here? Oh, yeah, we were just looking at, I was talking about the J lines. And then saying, in America, we're getting ripped off. Not making any friends. Now, this might not seem like a guitar that you would associate me with, right? This specific one, no. We're at ESP LTD. I wanted to look at 2 of these in particular because one, I had the E2 version, the Japanese version of this guitar. And mine did not have the weapon headstock, as I like to call it. This is something that you would literally bring into battle and, use for harm against anybody who might attack you and defend yourself. I digress. I had one of these teardrop headstock ESP E2 Horizon 3. That's what the H3 stands for in this. Seymour Duncan pickups on it. It's got a Floyd Rose. I love that guitar. I loved it. I got it for steel too. And that was my second ESP Horizon. I had a 90s ESP Horizon 2 that did not have a Floyd on it. That was a hardtail. And that was in blue, and I liked that a lot too, but I didn't love it because I wanted to have a fun whammy bar. Fun whammy bar. But these are super cool guitars, man. I'm a big fan of the, and again, like that's more of an extreme body shape. When you look at that, is there a legacy guitar that you're thinking of? Like, is there a classic Gibson? I mean, yeah, you could be like, well, the shape is really similar to a Strat. Like, I mean, very loosely in the fact that it's a double cutaway, but that horn comes up super high. That's like Novo height horn. The difference is you actually have upper fret access on the ESP, whereas you don't have it so much on the Novos because the horn doesn't come in so close into the body. But like a guitar like that, I'm really down with that. I'm really down with that, which is funny because I just said all that about not ripping off other brands. But as far as the value goes, I wanted to include guitars that weren't all, $1,000 or plus dollars or $2,000 in some cases. This is a guitar I reviewed very early on as well. I reviewed this when I was still living in California. And I think that out of all the budget Les Pauls, I think these guys are doing it the best. I think these guys are doing this the best. And they've made so many of these. I think I paid $140 for mine. God. And that's not a lifetime ago. That was like 2020. 5 years ago, I paid $140 for one of these. Guy on Craigslist. I had to drive all the way out past Santee for that guitar. Honestly, I thought I was kind of going to get robbed. I was not in a good part of town. The guy was ended up really cool, though. That's the thing about California. You never know. But, classic, generic, their take on the Les Paul. Really, I should be saying their Indonesian version of the Japanese renowned Eclipse with 3 toggle switches. If you don't know the history about ESP guitars, they had to switch to 3 because of a kind of a lawsuit. But originally, the first Eclipses, if you find one of the older ones, you'll find 4-knob versions of it. And if you look at other guitar brands that are owned by ESP, such as Grassroots, Edwards, Navigator, you're going to find those are going to have 4-knobs on them. Because those guitars are not meant for sale on the American market. And that's part of the reason why they're allowed to do it. Moving on. You guys mentioned Reverend, okay? I got to admit here. There are limits to what I like, as far as the body design. I'm not a big fan of the Novos. I've said that a few times. I think that they're just not for me stylistically. I feel that way about many of the Reverends. I have this one pulled up, the Pete Anderson, because I just think it's such a cool... It's a double-bound Telecaster. Do I have to say much else? It's a double-bound Telecaster. This guitar is made in South Korea with an ebony fingerboard. They got some really decent builders in South Korea, that's for sure. And I just think that this is a cool instrument. This is another one of those kind of hybrid setups. I was just mentioning the Tom Anderson for those that are not familiar. This guitar also has a 24 3/4 Gibson scaling on it. Yep. It's got a Carina neck, Carina body, super lightweight. Just very comfortable player-minded guitars that all get set up here in the United States of America. Very cool. Finally, somebody mentioned one of these in the response to the comments, which after I do this, I want to check what the final score is, so to speak, on what you guys voted on. The D'Angelico, I got yelled at once for mispronouncing it. I think I'm still mispronouncing it. Premier DC electric guitar. Now, between this one and the Mini DC, the reason, and this is going to sound silly to some of y'all, okay, here? This is going to sound silly, but I like the walnut on the fretboard way more than Pal Ferro. Pal Ferro just looks gross. 90% of the time, Pal Ferro just looks gross. And especially a guitar like this, look at this, is a flashy looking guitar. right? That's a classy looking instrument. If that was super light, like streaky Palfaro, it would really take away from the aesthetic, especially on the black. But these guitars get rave reviews, and a lot of people really like them. I've not played one of these, but I can speak on the neck profile and a different D'Angelico I played that I did like, which is the Bedford SH. That's a kind of unique design too. I don't think they have any left in stock. Nope, sorry. None released. But you could find them. Those got kind of HSS going on there with the mini humbucker in the bridge pickup. They're gnarly. Vintage style vibrato system on them. I really like those guitars. So, I said I wanted to check two things real quick. The first thing I want to check is the results here of what you guys said. 33%, the winner went to Yamaha. Second place was G&L at 30%. Third place was Music Man / Sterling by Music Man, 22, and 15% of you voted for ESP LTD, with various other people mentioning the brands that I ended up showing anyways. I did not go over any of the other big three brands. And I know it's funny to think about, like, Gretsch isn't a big three brand. They're Gretsch. Yeah, they're owned by the big three. They're owned by Fender, so they don't count. They don't count to me. So it is what it is. All right. So where are we, Harvey? Cool. Okay. When sellers don't disclose the guitar's weight, it's like a dating... Oh my God, you're going to get me in trouble. I'll read the rest of it because I like you, and you have been around this channel for many years. If it wasn't you, I'm not sure I would read this because I just don't see what good is going to come from this. When sellers don't disclose the guitar's weight, it's like a dating profile that only shows the face. I like the peace of mind of knowing. In a politically correct time, I should scold you for that, but it's just how it is, man. Sorry. You'd want to know. And you're lying if you said you wouldn't. The end. Amongst many things you would want to know. Thank God I don't have to date. In Australia, artist guitars have a good rep. Phil McKnight did a review of them also recently. That's all the more reason I have never heard of them. I tried to do the ba-dum-tsh, but you can't do that so much when you're slapping a guitar. But no, lots of Australian brands that are pretty cool. I'd like to try. I'm more interested in their amplifiers, mainly the Headstrong guy. I think he's an Aussie. That guy, he's really passionate about making guitar amps, and he's passionate about guitar amps even when he's like not playing one of his own. He's super passionate about it, and that kind of energy from somebody who runs a company, like, I find it, like it's very magnetic. It just sucks you into it. You're like, oh, cool. Like, this guy, like, he really cares, and I respect that. So Headstrong amps, those are ones I'd like to try. Hi, Deb. Don't worry about being late. Fortunately, you're not the other kind of late. I'll have to leave early for rehearsal, like that we're swapping shifts. Oh yeah, you guys swap. Do what you got to do. Okay, Gelvin guitars are cool. I had not heard of those. Charvel SoCal for a Super Strat. Charvel or Fender. Yamaha SA. Yeah, okay. To me, as far as brands that are available in the United States of America, it's Yamaha. Yamaha's the winner out of the big three. Because if you look at their entire line, they make top tier semi-hollow guitars. They make a top tier Super Strat. That's not a Super Strat. That's a Super Strat. And they make a top tier model in the Revstar. That's like their own thing too. Like, you factor in on top of that the Red Label guitars, the acoustics. Those are killer. The Japanese made ones. I had quite a difference of opinion with a friend of mine that does YouTube. I played one of the Chinese-made Red Label. That's the entry-level one. I believe it's about $700 or $800. back to back with a Japanese made red level the same day. And I was like, this isn't even close. Because to me, it wasn't close. The feel was just very different. But moreover to the point, Yamaha offer quality. They just offer quality, man. Great guitars. Great guitars. They would be my pick. You know what? I don't know if I personally, I would have a serious debate about whether or not, like, because I always consider, I'll just be frank, like many of you, I consider Gibson and Fender number one. For a reason. Does that mean they're always on top of their game? No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But when they get it right, they get it right. And there's a reason why everybody copies their designs. There's a reason everybody copies their designs, because they're good designs for the most part. But number three, I don't know if I would give it to PRS in America. I don't know if I would. If I just take into account like their own guitars, not inspired by, I don't know. And because I don't get to keep this, but if I was given the choice, now I'm playing theory. I'm just working out something in my head. I hadn't thought about this until you made that comment. Would I rather have this guitar or the CE2408? I'm looking at the CE2408. That's a tough call. If I could make a straight swap with no money out of pocket, no nothing, no BS, for this specific guitar, for that guitar, I'd do it. I would do it. And PRS, fortunately, they haven't figured out how to make a hollow body yet. Or semi-hollow body yet. Not in the traditional sense. Not like Collings or 335, 339, what have you. They kind of haven't gotten there yet. I played some of the hollow body 2s. I did that work on one of the original hollow body 1s where I installed a set of 5708s in that for a buddy of mine. The same guy who bought the glass enclosure. Fine guitar. It's just such a different vibe. It's just such a different vibe, and it just felt like a slightly bigger McCarty. That's also one of the designs I think is one of the best PRS ones. I'd say Custom 24, Custom or CE24, which are ostensibly the same ones, just one's for a budget and a bolt-on. The Vela I like a lot, and the original McCarty, not the 594. Not the 594. Those would be like the quintessential PRS. Gretsch with the Bigsby and Dynasonics. Gretsch's make cool guitars, man. They make really cool guitars. You've been jonesing for a Vela. Velas are such a missed opportunity for PRS, man. And for, like, I don't know. Because I've been saying for years, I think that they're one of the coolest designs they have. Here, let me put this up here. I don't want to get any of my water. I've traded the water bottle that used to make the dolphin noise for a water bottle that even after like 2 weeks, it just leaks. See? Leaks. What I've said about the Bella and why I feel it's a missed opportunity is because as smart as their marketing is and their R&D is when it comes to like, okay, like these are selling, let's create something that's a competitor for this. This is working really well. Let's expand it. Why don't we give this one the 2408 electronics as well? Like they've gotten really smart with that. But I feel like the Bella just gets ignored. Because at the price they're at, they're about $1,700, I believe, nowadays for the satin ones. $1,700 or $1,750. All they have to do is make it. First of all, they won't do this because it would cost them money. They would end up having Korean hardware for this, 100%, because they're only made in the S2 line anyways. But God forbid, PRS contacted Mastery, for example, and said, let's put the offset vibrato on a Vela. You suddenly have a direct competitor to the Jazzmaster, to the Jaguar, and then if you want to make a core model version of it, you're fighting against the other big bads, the trendy brands, like the Novos of the world, the Bilts of the world, who also offer guitars of different body shapes and varieties that come with the Mastery hardware equipped on them. Even Sir do that. Even Sir offer guitars with the Mastery hardware, the offset vibratos. So I think it's a missed opportunity. I think that there's a lot of potential with the Vela. And the hardware is cool on the Vela, as it is. I think it would be cooler if they had an option that had a vibrato. Then you'd be like, oh, you want the hardtail or do you want the vibrato one? You don't need to put in Jazzmaster pickups. Use your own. Don't change that. You don't need to put in any Jaguar switching. You don't need a strangler. You don't need anything. You just leave the guitar completely as it is, minus the fact that it's a hardtail. Change it to a vibrato. You already got the matching headstocks on the custom colors. Do it. Do it. I would absolutely try one, and I know a lot of people would too. And you make money. Everything you sell makes money. And then you can put it in the SE line and make even more money because you got bigger margins. Okay. What did I see here? I saw something about my favorite guitar brand. I know how you feel about Kiesel's, and I'm so sorry for even saying that name in your presence, but damn, these guitars are incredible, despite their repeated horror story and Jeff. I lived in San Diego for many moons. Many moons. About 15 minute drive was the furthest I ever was from where they were. No interest. To me, how do I word this? Customer service is everything to me. Outside of the initial product being great. Because you could have the best customer service in the world. If your product sucks, I'm not going to want to use your product. But it goes past just customer service with them. It is how you portray yourself and how you present the image of your own company before somebody has even become a customer, and this isn't new. This is stuff that's been going on for a long time. I'm not giving my money to people like that. And I'll tell you this also. I'm happy you love your guitars. I'm not here to say that they're bad, because what the hell do I know? I hate when people do that on the internet, by the way. That stuff annoys the shit out of me. I digress. But given the choice and the quality, and I don't want Fender. Hell, I don't want Yamaha. I don't want Gibson. I don't want PRS. I don't want Tom Anderson. I don't want Sir. I'm going to Japan every time for a custom order like that. I'm going to pay substantially less, and I'm going to get I'm knowingly going to get a product that's perfect. And on top of that, if I were to have a problem, I know I'm not going to be treated like a piece of garbage. The end. You will never see me with one of those guitars unless ownership entirely changes. My dog, he's pissed about something. I bet a leaf fell. Or that was him like, yeah, that's right. Oh, man. Bella's the bomb. I recently got American Silver Sky. It's just amazing. Nova Guitars taught me one thing. If Red Shaw likes something, I'm going to hate it. Ha! See, this is why I like you, man. No, I'm kidding. We're all different. That's the best way I could say it again, man. Like we're just all different. We're all gonna like different stuff. We're all just this whole chasing this tone, or I saw this demo where this guy he loved this guitar and it was infectious. And you know what? A lot of the time, that stuff's the most honest videos you're gonna see. Like if you're ever wondering, like, does this person really mean this? And this is a question that comes up. I'm gonna put my hat on here. My hair's getting in my face. It's really starting to bother me, right? What time are we at? We're 12:56. I still got a ways to go as far as the stuff I'd like to talk about. I don't know how long we're gonna do this, but people always say, and this again is something that's happened to a few friends of mine that also do YouTube. They will get messages. I saw your review on X guitar. What do you really think about it? What the fuck? What are you talking about? Did you watch the video? A dead giveaway. If somebody's like really glowing and they're really happy, like really happy, it's hard to fake that. And you can tell when they're playing, because it's one thing when somebody's like, they're holding the guitar and it's like they're being held hostage. Who's the guy that always makes this in the thumbnail where it's just the guitar like right next to his head and he's always just got this big grin with his perfect white teeth? Like when when it's straight up QVC and they're like super excited, it's one thing. But you can tell when somebody's playing a guitar, even if they're not saying a word. If the shot is up enough where you can kind of like see their body, especially if you can see their facial expressions, that they either really like it or they really don't like it, or really like it or they're like, this is pretty good. Because there's been plenty of guitars I'm like, this is pretty good. It's pretty good. Like the PRS CE24 for $500, I think it's great. As an overall guitar, it's fine. In the demo, I mean, I presented it as such. The same thing with the Squire, the Paranormal offset. I don't get excited playing those guitars. They don't do it for me in that sense. They're perfectly functional guitars that do a thing. Cool. They're affordable. That's great news. They don't make me sit back and just go, oh my God. The problem is, bringing it back to Rhett Shull, and this isn't just to pick on Rhett Shull, you have to keep in mind, man, the marketing machine behind a lot of this and the amount of influences that go into the decisions that people make. Yeah, he probably really does love those guitars, especially that one he has. It's just, for whatever reason, people that watch YouTube, it's like some people do, they take it too much for like a matter of record, a matter of fact, instead of just like, oh, that guy really likes this. And I'm not saying you fell into that trap. It's just, you see it all the time. And the bigger the channel is, the less likely, in general, I am to believe it, whether that's fair or not fair. You know? Man. YouTube's a funny place. YouTube's a funny place. Okay. Sounds good. What sounds good, Crollo? I don't know what you're talking about, but you like ebony fretboards. You want a Mateus Sato Sir signature. Which one should I go for? The Sir Mateus Sato signature to me is the Strat style guitar. To me. I know he's got the Telly these days with the gold foils and the Goto 510 on it. Well, actually, I think they updated it from the Goto 510 to a Sir bridge. But to me, the Mateus Sato is the pink Strat. That's the one I would go for. You're going to prep for hosting rehearsal. Have fun. Take care. Adios. You go back and forth on the horn. Okay, we were talking about something else. You can't stand Pal Farrow. Yeah, okay, so we're right at where I was finishing up here. We're right at where I was finishing up when I still had the screen up. I'm way behind. The Giangelicos are great. You would get one. The neck is too skinny. That's why I didn't keep the Bedford. That is literally the only reason why. And I ended up, this was years ago. I asked them, I was like, do you offer any guitars with a bigger neck? Because the rest of the guitar is awesome. I just don't, I need a bigger neck profile. And they said, no, all of our necks have this neck size. And I was like, well, that sucks. Not going to lose any sleep over it, but I would play one of those guitars that they made with a bigger neck. Walnut over Pal Farrow, 100%. About a quarter of every Guitar Center's used section is Gretsch. I swear. Yeah, that sounds about right. Nope, I'm not talking about those today, Greg. Not talking about those today. I got something really special with those. soon. Your Charvel is pre-Fender. Oh, so you had a Japanese one. Oh, maybe Japanese. You could have had one of the American ones as well. I really liked those. I like the original San Dimas's when they came in like these super wild colors. Guess which one was my favorite? It was like a super aggressive like fuchsia. I remember seeing a punk band use them at the use one of those at the Warped Tour to San Dimas, and I was like, oh man, that's so cool. I was younger. I had the the JV Stratocaster, and it's just such a boomer guitar. It's white with a maple fretboard, 3 single coil pickups. How boring was that to me? I thought I need something cooler than that. I never ended up buying one. I wish I did. I think those are worth a fortune nowadays. The letter F, PRS. You're allowed to use that. A brand I like that doesn't cater to your audience would be Articides. Yeah, you know, they came up in that Kiesel thread. They came up in that Kiesel thread. I saw them. They're not my thing. Just like Hill's guitars aren't my thing, but also, it's not just modern guitars. Like, Ricks aren't my thing. I don't like Rickenbackers. I don't have any appeal for them. There's just some brands and some models and some shapes that just don't do it for me. But the Articides ones look really like they have their own thing going on, and I respect that. You know, I referenced that earlier in the video or the stream, where I really respect when a brand goes out and says, okay, like, let's try something. Let's be different. Hats off. So I agree with you that they don't really fit with me, but you'd be mistaken to think that they don't fit with everybody that watches this channel. There are people that watch this channel. I think that they just like me as a person because we do not agree on like anything with instruments, and they're much more into more modern music, more modern, aggressive stuff. Who are you? San Diego. Oh man, I'll call back. But yeah, there are quite a few people that are into that are into brands like that. So if they end up watching this, I would definitely recommend that they check out that brand. They look really cool. I saw a band and the brand was playing a Bella. Sorry, there's a lot of comments. I kind of got lost in the ether here. That's a good guitar, and then I forgot about it again. It's a good way of saying it. You've always played Yamaha drums, but when they were made in Japan, I feel new ones just don't have the mojo. That's how I feel about Tama, man. That's how I feel about Tama. My Tamas were the last Tamas that were actually made in Japan. Star Classic Babingas. And they get the set of drums I was torn between. There was 2 sets of drums. I was graduating college. My dad said he was going to buy me a set of drums if I actually graduated. Because I'd failed out. I didn't fail out. I just kind of stopped going to one college. Another college, I got kicked out of a casino because I used to spend all my time once I found out that there was a casino 20 minutes away. I ended up living there and just not going to school. I was making good money, and I was really bored, so I had a lot of fun with that. I got thrown out of college. That was a legal matter in Potsdam, New York. We were going to Indian reservations, and we were caught with products that were acquired from Indian reservations in decent sized quantities. You probably shouldn't say any of this stuff in stream, but it really happened. So my choices were either narc your friend or leave school and never come back to any SUNY school ever again. I said I will leave school and never come back to any SUNY school again. Oh man. So the point was, when I finally did graduate college, everybody in my family was just like, holy shit, he did something with his life. I acquired debt. But my dad's just like, I'll buy any kit of drums you want. And I was between the Babinga made Japan Star Classics and the Yamahas Club Jams. These came in a blue, a black, and an orange. They had the bowling ball style dies on them. Also made in Japan. You want to look up a good drum demo with just a killer drummer, Steve Jordan. Session drummer. He's also done a lot of playing with big acts, Alicia Keys. He was the guy in the freaking original John Mayer trio. Any Given Thursday, that's Steve Jordan on the drums. He's the one that demoed this set. I loved him. But at that time, if I go back and redo it, I think I picked the Yamahas. But at that time, I really wanted to be in a rock band. I still had it in the back of my head I was going to be in a rock band. No, I ended up playing a bunch of surf. The Tamas are fantastic, and I do agree, though. My main point was I do agree. The Japanese-made stuff, I like it better. I hate the feeling of getting a guitar I was super excited about then having no connection with it. That happens. Do you know how many Fender Jaguars I've had that happen with me with? This is the first one in ages where I'm like, oh, I found it. That's why I just stopped talking about it. It was like, there was a time on this YouTube channel where I would at least once every week or 2 weeks, I would talk about the Fender Jaguar because I was just like, I miss having a good one. I keep trying and I keep failing. I found it. I just stopped talking about it because I just play it. The end. It's great. But it is a bummer. Your favorite Grands outside of Fender, Gibson, and Gibson. I like what you did there. Powers Electric, Yamaha, and Gretsch. So out of Fender and Gibson, Powers Electric and Yamaha. So 2 and 2. Because that's not 3 and 3. You take guitar reviews as personal opinions only. But I never take them. Why they like isn't for me. I don't know, man. For me, I make them just as entertainment and for promotion for you guys now. Like, because if I have the opportunity to play something that is not going to cost me anything, like this guitar, I get to try this out. I didn't pay anything for this, just to have it for up to 3 months. I'm happy I did. And I'm going to use it more in videos and in some stuff I'm working on that has nothing to do with videos, which is why I'm not uploading as much because I'm actually much more productive as a musician these days. It just makes sense to do it because you guys click on that stuff. And no matter what anybody tells you that does YouTube, nobody wants to spend the 8 to 12 hours setting up, filming, editing, or in some cases writing a script, rendering and all that to make a video about something you're really passionate about and have nobody give a damn and nobody even bother to click it. It's worse when you do it with an album. It's far worse because like months and sometimes years go into that. But even still, just to dedicate, double-digit amounts of hours into something that you really care about, knowing that I could make a 10-minute video with any new product and people care more about that because music takes a back seat. But there's nothing to complain about. It is what it is. You either adapt to it and you give the audience what you want or you complain about it. So what am I doing? Go look at my recent videos. I'm giving the audience what they want, what they click on. Oh, man. Fano. Fanos are cool, man. If Fano's MG6, I believe they call that one, the one that's shaped like a Mustang, if that was actually a short scale, they might have had me on that. But it's not a short scale. So to me, that was no sale. But they look cool. They're interesting guitars. Revolta are, yeah, they kind of fall into the same thing with Novo for me. They just don't do it for me. And I'm shallow, I admit it. If I look at a guitar and I think, what? I'm probably not gonna like it, like it enough to buy it. I don't know. And that's not to say, because obviously I like all sorts of different body designs. I like weird stuff. I'm a schmuck that put a Jaguar vibrato on a purple Mustang. Clearly, I'm strange, but we all like different things. So to me, it's like, I'm not just gonna spend my money on something that I look at and I go, I don't hate it, but I don't like it. Steve Jordan is why I play Yamahas. He was the original drummer of Dave Letterman's band. Yep. Yeah, Steve is, he's just got, like, he sits in a pocket perfectly. His sense of groove and the way that he locks in with Pino Palladino. He's a bass player. The way that those two lock in together, that's the magic of anything. Is when you have a literal world-class drummer and a world-class bassist playing together. You could put the most mediocre guitar hanging out on top of it, but the groove is going to be so good that you're still going to be moving, unless the guitar's out of time. You're just going to be like, yeah. Because those two are just, they're so good. I would highly recommend you guys check out either of them. Both of them together is even better, but Pino Palladino and Steve Jordan. What a drummer. What a drummer. Then the other drummer I used to love that played Yamahas was Carter Buford, the drummer for Dave Matthews Band. PRS is 3? Absolutely. PRS is number 3 of the big 3. Older Ibanez AS and AM series semi-hollows. Great playing, very reasonable price. Yeah, you can get one of those older ones, like late 70s, early 80s, about $1,000 to your door, if you're lucky, from Japan. The thing I would look out for, if you're not super versed, it sounds like you are, but if you're somebody who wants to check out some of those older Yamahas, a few of them were Taiwan made, and they get passed off as Japanese made. So be wary. Not that the Taiwan ones would be bad, but it's not like those Japanese ones are that expensive. I would buy the Japanese one. Never do an album, do singles. Now, see, this is why I have certain things I'm not going to play along with. The whole point of an album is to encapsulate a period of your life, like a certain time of your life, and you can look back on it, and after you've made it, and everything that I've worked on, if I listen to it, and each song reminds me of a different thing that was happening at that time. To me, an album is so much more important than the amount of people that like you potentially reach, if that's what you're going for. And to me, when I think about music, like I don't know, a single's just like, it's a single. And I get in this modern day and age, if you're looking for the best possible results, you just do singles. Albums are dead. People don't have attention spans. Nobody has an attention span. Why do you think YouTube Shorts are so freaking popular? That garbage. In 60 seconds, I'm going to show you the difference between Gibson Les Paul, a Fender Stratocaster, and a Fender Telecaster. 56 billion views. Or this is what every typical person who buys their first offset guitar plays. I'm not going to play any of that garbage. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, 56 million views. Yeah, I knew he was going to do that. We're an idiocracy. Okay? I get it. Nobody has an attention span. People are fools. People like dumb stuff. But I still hold an album as like a parameter for quality of music. Like a full-length album. I just look at them differently. And it is what it is. I'm still going to make them on my own. Half you guys don't even know. Actually, more than half. I get asked about it all the time. Meant to say that I've never taken any YouTuber's word as gospel. There you go. Yamaha owns Guild Cordoba. Yeah, now they do. But before that, somebody else owned them. I know they went through a recent sale. And when I say recent, I believe it's the last 5 years. It might have been Fender that owned Gretsch. Or a Guild, rather. Might have been Fender. Great album might be the rarest thing on earth, but it's amazing when you find one. Yes, and the other thing about a great album, when you're the one making it, you purposely put the tracks in an order for a reason, because you're telling a story. You're telling like an entire story. But yeah, no, just I want to hear that song. That's my favorite track. I'm gonna listen to that one, throw it on this playlist amongst all the other stuff, and just go off into the world, man. Ain't nothing wrong with a mixtape. But you should appreciate, or at least try to listen to an official album all the way through, from start to finish, without shuffling. Shuffle ruined a lot of things. But we went 115 today. We went to 115 today. I thank you guys for hanging out. I know we don't typically do this on a Friday, and I don't typically kind of just like noodle around on a guitar while we're streaming. But yeah, I am going to be using this guitar for a video that I'm working on right now. And I don't know how well you could see what's peeking out behind me. But that's getting brought into a recording studio. We're going to be talking about that. And then you're going to obviously be hearing the results of that, but that's going to take a little bit because we have to get that mixed and mastered. But it's for a video demonstration. And I get to keep it. Thank you, guys. Like I said earlier in the video, if you were not here, Patreons and members, you are going to get a bonus video over the weekend. Everybody else, a regularly scheduled content, start a video as well. And then, yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to stream this next week. That's for sure because I streamed today. But we'll try to get to a schedule because now things are kind of leveling out here where we know what's going on. So thank you all for coming in today. Check out Zounds. Use the link in the description. Appreciate y'all. Like the video. The stream, rather. And I'll see you next time. Adios.